Journeys Through SpaceTime by James Talisman. Chapter 8, Trouble in Paradise Part 2. The Isonian Empire. Queen Neferities and Thoran returned from the new pyramid structures north of the city. Audiobook came out to greet them and informed the queen of her brother's arrival. "Excellent, dear. Please inform my brother that I will meet with him later for dinner to discuss his request." "Very well, my queen," said Audiobook as she nervously contemplated another encounter with a man. "There is something odd about that man. He is not what he wants everyone to think. I should tell the queen my feelings on this matter, but I am not sure the best way to do that." Once at the cottage, Audiobook relayed the queen's message to her brother. "Thank you. My offer still stands if you would like to stay for a while," said Aman as he winked at the beautiful young assistant. Audiobook lowered her head slightly before responding, "Thank you for the offer, Commander, but I really must go and prepare for tonight's dinner." Walking into the dining area later that evening, Aman spied Queen Neferities and Thoran engaged in conversation and laughter at the table. "So I see you two have become reacquainted. I remember how close you both were when we were growing up," said Aman as he came over to his sister and gave her a hug. "It has indeed been wonderful to spend some time with one of my dearest friends again. I even took Thoran out to see one of the projects we are developing north of the city." The queen looked towards her brother questioningly. "So where were you off to last night, brother?" "As you are probably aware, I took up the Looming religion again while I have been stationed at the western border. I stopped by the Looming sanctuary last night to pay tribute to the gods. After talking with the high priest, I accepted his offer to stay for the night. When I returned to the palace earlier this afternoon, your lovely assistant showed me the cottage. Thank you, sister, for allowing me to stay on the palace grounds, and for considering my request." Having already received details of Aman's stop at the sanctuary last night, the queen pondered her brother's words. "I wonder what this connection with the Looming high priest is about." "I am glad to hear you have found a connection for your spiritual side, brother. I am also glad to hear you like the accommodations Audiobook arranged for you. Please sit down with us, and perhaps you can tell me more about your experiences on the western border and those you have established with the Looming religion." Soon a feast of Tanaran quail and rotan vegetables was brought to the table for everyone to enjoy. Servers brought pitchers of wine over to the table to go with the delicious food. Queen Neferities looked towards her brother. "So Aman, please share how you came back to the Looming religion of our youth." "Well, there is not much to say about that. When I first arrived on the western border, I was feeling homesick and lonely. I thought that the Looming religion might be a way to remind me of home, and help me overcome my loneliness. The Looming way has indeed helped me see the world in a new manner and has made me a better man." Aman looked at his sister with curiosity. "With no disrespect, I am a little surprised by your interest. I seem to recall that structured religion was never really for you." "You are correct, brother. The Looming religion never really appealed to me, and I am grateful that Father saw that, and arranged for my private lessons with Master Amati." In truth, Queen Neferities despised the Looming religion and more specifically, the Looming leadership. In her youth, the queen observed the piety of the Looming priest, and how they seemed to look down upon the common people of the Isonian Empire. Even with this disdain for the commoners, the Looming leaders constantly sought ways to use the resources of these peasants to fill their coffers. The young Neferities had even mentioned her concerns to Master Amati once and received this response: "Your insights into this matter are indeed correct, dear one, but it is best that you ignore this pious organization for now. One day, you will have the power and resources to make a change. Until then, continue your studies and battle training." "You seem deep in thought, sister. Is everything okay?" The queen came back from her thoughts and looked towards Aman. "I am fine. I have pondered your request and feel it is time to approach the council concerning that petition. I will request a meeting. Thank you, sister. I am feeling tired, so will retire to the cottage. You two enjoy the rest of the evening, and I will see you both in the morning. After Aman left the room, Thoran said, I can tell you do not have a high opinion concerning the loom. You are correct. There has always been something off about that religious organization, and especially the leadership. I also feel there is something more to Aman's relationship with the loom and with the high priest. I could look into this further and let you know what I find. I would appreciate that. You are such a wonderful friend. Queen Neferites looked into Thoran's eyes. Please be careful of the loom. I suspect they are far more than what they portray to the Isonian people. My master confirmed that years before when I asked him about them. Softly caressing the queen's arm, Thoran asked, perhaps I can help reduce your stress concerning your brother and the loom. Smiling at her friend, the queen responded, that does sound very intriguing and satisfying, but I do need to meditate on all that is going on, and with the council meeting I will schedule for the near future. I can have someone come for you later if that is okay. Waiting for you is never a bother, my beautiful queen. The queen walked out onto her favorite terrace as the warm night breeze caressed her skin. She sat down to meditate. Soon all worrying thoughts left her mind as she immersed herself deeper and deeper into the void of her mind. Once in the void, she sought her soul connection to universal consciousness. Lying on the bed in his quarters, Thoran heard a light knock on the door. Who goes there? He asked. It is I, Aderan, sir, whispered Aderan through the door. Please come in. Shyly, Aderan opened the door and entered Thoran's quarters. What can I do for you, dear? Is the queen done with her meditations already? No, the queen is still on the terrace meditating. I was hoping to talk with you, sir. Of course, but please call me Thoran. Thoran got up off the bed and motioned for Aderan to sit down. So, what is on your mind this night? It is the queen's brother that I wish to discuss. Aderan then went on to tell Thoran of Aman's overt advances and of her suspicions that something was not quite right concerning Aman. Well, I can understand Aman's attraction towards you. You are indeed beautiful. Thoran smiled at Aderan before continuing. The queen also believes something is not right concerning Aman and his relationship with the loom. That is part of why she is meditating right now. Between us, I can tell you that I plan to investigate Aman's affairs as well. My number one priority is to ensure the queen's protection and safety, and that will always be the case. Feeling slightly relieved, Aderan said, I am glad to learn that the queen has suspicions too, and that you will be looking into things as well. Before turning to leave, she said, I am glad the queen has such a good and loyal friend. I know she is happy to have you around. Our queen carries so much on her shoulders, and her position can be a lonely one at times. Thank you, Aderan. I know our queen speaks highly of you and is glad you are always here for her. And thank you for bringing your concerns to me. I will find a good way to let her know those concerns. Back on the terrace, Queen Neferites came out of her meditation. The insights gained from the meditation seemed somewhat vague, but she could feel in her heart that something was not right. I need to continue letting this reality unfold, but remain aware. Calling for one of her servants, the queen asked the young woman to prepare the baths and to let Thoran know she would meet him in her bedroom chambers in 1 hour. Entering the dining area, Aman looked around before sitting down at the table. He made his breakfast request to the male attendant, who came over to the table. The young server came back with some chilled goat's milk. Aman smiled seductively at the young man and said, Thank you very much, you handsome young thing. Are the queen and Thoran sleeping in this morning? Somewhat startled by Aman's advances, the young server replied, I am not sure of the queen's plans, but I can try to find out, sir. Thank you, but that will not be necessary. Very well, sir. I will be back with your food right away. The young man nodded and turned to get the commander's breakfast. Aman admired the young attendant's backside as he walked away. Just as Aman was finishing his breakfast, Queen Neferities and Thoran walked into the dining area laughing and holding hands. Good morning, sister. You look radiant this morning. I wonder why, spoke a smiling Aman as he winked at the queen. Good morning, brother, and yes, I am very happy, replied the queen as Thoran pulled her chair out. Why, thank you, love, said the queen as she sat down. Anything for my beautiful queen. Thoran sat down and looked at his childhood friend. Aman, my friend, I have not seen you much the last few days. How has your return to the royal city been? It has been wonderful to be back where I grew up. It brings back marvelous memories of our boyhood days, tramping about the city and trying to stay out of trouble. Perhaps you and I can go out to one of the local drinking establishments soon and have a couple ales together as we reminisce on the good times of our youth. That sounds like a good plan, replied Thoran. So, sister, are we still planning to meet with the council soon? Yes, I will arrange for the council to come to the palace in 2 days. We will go over some city plans. Then we will discuss the possibility of you joining the council. Excellent, sister, and thank you again for agreeing to entertain my request to join the council. I will take my leave now. Aman rose from his seat and headed towards the dining area doorway. So, do you think Aman has a chance of joining the council? Asked Thoran as he began to eat the wonderful breakfast brought over for the queen and himself. I did not at first. After last night's meditation, I am now not completely sure what the outcome will be. I will keep an eye on Aman and let you know if I see any foul play. Thank you. I am so happy you are back, and I have such a loyal friend in my life again. These last few days have been spectacular, and I look forward to many more together. The queen smiled lovingly at the handsome warrior. Later that morning, Aman looked around before entering the gate to the Illum sanctuary. The highest one will be gladdened to hear of the master's plan. There is much to prepare, he thought, as he walked towards the sanctuary on the other side of the courtyard. 2 days later. Walking up to the large table in the palace meeting room, Queen Neferities smiled at the group of advisors seated. Thank you all for coming on short notice. As always, the council's opinion and direction concerning matters important to the Isonian Empire have much value to me. Let us go over some of the current projects. Then we can discuss my brother's request. Due to what the queen learned from her lessons with Master Amati, her words to the council spoke her truth. From the young Neferites' earliest lessons, Master Amati had always spoke of how everyone was connected, and this connection was how truly great things could be accomplished. The Master's words, from the beginning of creation, we have all been connected to the source of all things. This divine bond between us all has been the plan from the start, and when we follow this plan, our creative abilities are truly endless, rang through the Queen's mind once again as she contemplated the meeting in progress. With the city plan discussions almost over, Queen Neferites signaled to one of her assistants to retrieve her brother. Soon Aman walked into the room. The queen put her hand on his shoulder. Everyone, this is my brother Aman. He has recently returned from the western border where he has been stationed for the last 5 years. As a member of the royal family, he has requested a seat on this council. The queen looked at Aman. Brother, would you like to say anything before we discuss your request and vote on the matter? Aman looked at his sister and smiled. Thank you, my queen. He looked out at the queen's council. I recognize some of you from when my father was king. I am so glad to see you are still able to counsel my sister, as you had my father. While others of you are not as familiar, I still feel we two share a bond. Gazing keenly at some of the younger members of the council, Aman continued to talk, as the newer council members seemed to fidget in their seats. I believe everyone here today loves Isonia and only wants what is best for the magnificent empire that its citizens have built. I stand here today to humbly ask that you allow me the opportunity to help the Isonian Empire to expand and inspire the world as we grow into the future together. Thank you for your inspiring words, brother. We will now discuss your request, and then the council will vote. My assistant can escort you back to your cottage, and will let you know once we have made a decision. Once Aman left the room, the Queen and her council began to discuss Aman's request to join. While the older members had reservations about bringing Aman into the council, most of the newer members seemed open to letting him join. By the end of the discussion, most of the newer council members felt Aman should join the council. In the end, there was a slight majority vote in favor. As with all council decisions, Queen Neferites still had the final say. My insights from last night seem to be playing out as I foresaw. I still think there is something more to all of this, but I feel I must let this play out. As I have indicated many times, I truly value this council's insight and direction. With that said, I will agree with the majority decision made today. I will see that my brother is informed of the results of the vote. Thank you all for coming today. The chef has prepared some wonderful food and drink for all who wish to partake. Waiting in the cottage, Aman heard a knock at the door. The assistant who had escorted Aman to the council meeting earlier came to inform him of the council's decision. That is wonderful news. Thank you. Once the Queen's assistant had left, Aman thought to himself, so our master's plan is working. I will go tell the high priest tonight of the voting results. I must prepare for the next stage of the plan. At dinner that night, Aman thanked the Queen for allowing him the opportunity to present his case to the council. I promise to serve the Isonian Empire well, sister. I hope you will, my brother. I think our father would be glad, replied Queen Neferites as she contemplated her and the council's decision. The truth was, she knew her father the king had always been apprehensive about allowing Aman any authority concerning royal affairs. The king had mentioned his concerns to Neferites. I know as firstborn your brother feels he should be the next ruler of the Isonian Empire, but I have concerns. Your brother's ambition and nature leads me to feel that he may not be the best choice to succeed me once I am gone from this world. I know from observing you that you see the Isonian people the same as I do. As I have watched your brother's action towards the palace staff and the commoners, I feel his rulership would not be in the best interest of the Isonian people. Once dinner was done, Aman said, I feel it is best that I go to the Looming sanctuary tonight to give thanks to the gods. Please do not wait up for me, and I will see you both tomorrow. Once Aman had left the dining area, Thoran got up to follow his old friend. Queen Neferites said in a low voice, Please be careful. Thoran kissed the Queen on the cheek and nodded acknowledgement. Please do not stay up worrying, my Queen. I will be fine and will wake you when I return, Thoran promised before leaving. With no moons shining the way, a torchlight was the only illumination as Aman walked towards the sanctuary. Thoran silently kept a distance behind. Once Aman was at the sanctuary gate, Thoran moved behind a tree. Aman glanced back and forth before opening the gate and entering the courtyard. After waiting a short while, Thoran walked up to the gate and entered as well. From the semi-darkness of the dimly lit courtyard, Thoran watched Aman speak to one of the younger priests, before he was escorted inside through a rear door. Thoran ran up to the sanctuary's main building and silently moved around the building's outer walls until he spotted a light shining from an inner room. Coming up close to the window opening, Thoran began to hear the conversation that was just unfolding between the high priest and Aman. That is excellent news, Aman. Our efforts to sway the council's vote have succeeded. The next phase of the master's plan lies in your hands. Have you thought about how you will eliminate the Queen, and is there anything the Loom can do to help with that matter? Thank you again, Highest One, for your assistance in my appointment to the council. Those council members looked terrified when I gazed into their eyes today. I do have a plan in mind for my sister and will implement it soon. After hearing the conversation between the Loom High Priest and Aman, Thoran knew he must report what he heard to the Queen at once. Just as Thoran turned to leave for the palace, a sharp blow struck his head. Falling to the ground from the impact of the wooden stick strike to his head, he could make out the figures of 4 individuals dressed in white robes. While most men would have gone unconscious from such a hard hit, Thoran was a powerful warrior who had fought in numerous battles over the years. Jumping back up to his feet, he began to engage the 4 young men before him. As Thoran quickly struck down the stick-wielding priest with a powerful slice from his sword, the other 3 priests were able to come in close. A precise hand strike to nerves in Thoran's right arm made him drop the sword. Thoran had never fought such skillful fighters, as each strike from the smaller priests began to wear him down. While fighting back with all his strength and will, one of the young priests was able to jump on Thoran's back and get his arms wrapped around his neck. Due to the excruciating pressure being applied to his neck and the continuous blows coming from the other 2 priests, Thoran started to feel his brain shut down from lack of oxygen and the immense pain his body was experiencing. Just before passing out, Thoran thought to himself, "I have let down my queen and true love." Groggy and in pain, Thoran found that each of his wrists were bound with iron bands attached to iron chains bolted to the stone wall of the dank and dimly lit cell. Down the passageway outside the cell, he could hear the groans and wails of others. Some of the crying he heard sounded like children. "The guard just informed me you were awake," said Aman as he walked into the cell. "You need to release me right now, and the Queen might have mercy on your soul." "Oh, I am planning to release you, old friend, but I am afraid my sister will not be able to save either of our souls. Her fate has already been determined." "This is craziness, Aman. What do you hope to accomplish, and who are those people I hear close by?" "I plan to take back that which was my birthright. Unfortunately, the Queen's and your death are the price that will need to be paid to make that happen. As for those prisoners you hear, they are here to ensure that my and the Loom's wills are done. Then they will be returned to their loved ones." In truth, the council members' families currently in the other cells under the Loom sanctuary would never reunite with the council members who had voted in Aman's favor just the day before. In fact, Aman and the Loom leadership planned to eliminate the council and its members completely once he became king. "Let me loose and we will see whose death will unfold today, you coward. Your actions cannot go unpunished," threatened Thoran as he yanked at the chains binding him to the wall. "As you wish." Aman motioned for the guard to unlock the wristbands. Thoran waited for the guard to finish releasing the iron bands before violently striking the guard down with a powerful backfist. As the guard dropped unconscious to the dirt floor, Thoran immediately lunged towards Aman at the other side of the cell. Aman swiftly moved his body to the side and struck Thoran with a powerful hand strike at Thoran's shoulder and neck area. Due to the critical nerve struck, immense pain ran throughout Thoran's body as he groaned loudly from the hit. Dazed from the blow and the acute nerve pain generated from the precise strike, Thoran was caught off guard as Aman performed a sequence of meticulous hand and foot strikes to his body, damaging vital nerves with each hit. The intense onslaught of attacks soon made Thoran drop to the floor in agonizing pain. "As you can now see, old friend, my tenure on the western border was not a complete waste of time," Aman taunted as he looked down at Thoran laying on the dirt floor. Aman knelt beside Thoran and wrapped his arms around the warrior's neck, before applying immense pressure to close off the airway in his throat. Thoran started to black out. Summoning every last bit of strength and will he had, Thoran was able to break the powerful grip on his neck before smashing his elbow into Aman's face. Aman yelled in pain as Thoran's blow broke his nose and knocked him back to the floor. Reeling from the broken nose, Aman regained his senses and pulled a dagger from his boot, before scrambling back to his feet. "I am afraid I have no more time for this," yelled Aman as he moved towards his longtime friend with unnatural speed and slashed Thoran's throat with the razor-sharp weapon. Thoran instinctively reached for his throat as blood poured from the wound. This time the blackness would be permanent, as Thoran fell to the dirt floor of the cell and his soul and conscious essence left his lifeless body, to return to the divine source from where it had come. Waking in the morning to find Thoran had not returned, Queen Neferites feared the worst. "What have I done? I should have never let Thoran follow Aman by himself. My meditation warned me about my brother, but I thought I could control the outcome. I so need my master's counsel right now." She closed her eyes and visualized her master. Soon, the distinct voice of Master Amati rang through Queen Neferites' mind. "It is important that you use the power of the pyramid to channel the intelligence and energies of divine source. Your very life depends on this." Queen Neferites opened her eyes. She quickly summoned the royal chariot to take her to the Pyramid Project, north of the city. "If Thoran returns to the palace, please inform him that I am at the pyramids," instructed the queen to Aderan just before the chariot took off. Once at the pyramids, the queen instructed her guards to watch for anything suspicious and to inform her if Thoran or Aman showed up. She walked inside the special pyramid built just for her. Sitting on the smooth granite chair in the center of the inner pyramid chamber, Queen Neferites started to eliminate all thoughts from her mind as she sought the void. Once inside the void of all possibilities, she asked for guidance and power from the source of all that is. As before in her youth, electrifying currents rose up through her body and out the top of her head towards the peak of the pyramid. Her mind experienced a new and powerful reality of bright colors and exquisite designs swirling about. From this new reality she now bathed in, Queen Neferites focused her mind and intent on becoming one with the sum of all the intelligence and energy that composed the universal substance surrounding everything. Once the connection with Divine Source was made, powerful energetic waves began to envelop her body from all sides. In all of her previous meditations, Queen Neferites had never felt this level of energy surge through her mind and body. After what felt like an eternity of lifetimes and experiences, she came back to the present moment. She once again could feel the hard granite chair against her skin. With the newfound knowledge obtained, Queen Neferites realized the immense power available to anyone who explored their true nature and birthright. Deep down, the queen also knew that she would not see her dear friend again in this lifetime. While the sacrifice of her dearest friend made her sad, Queen Neferites now understood that every soul was eternal, and all loss was never permanent. Fully understanding her brother's intentions, the queen remained relaxed in her seat as she waited for destiny to unfold. After arranging for the removal and disposal of Thoran's body, Aman returned to the palace. Seeing Aderan walking in the courtyard, Aman asked, "My dear, can you tell me where the queen and Thoran might be?" Not wanting to expose the queen's whereabouts, Aderan told Aman she did not know where the two might be at this moment. Sensing a lie, Aman grabbed Aderan's arm. "The matter I wish to discuss with them is very important, and could mean life or death for one or even both of them. The queen will be very disappointed when she learns you would not reveal her current whereabouts." Unsure what to do, Aderan finally told Aman the queen was at the pyramids. Back at the pyramids, Queen Neferites continued to wait for the upcoming events foretold in her most recent meditation and mystical experience. Standing up from her seat on the granite chair, the queen marveled at how keen all her physical senses had become. A short while later, she heard the sounds of fighting outside the chamber opening. "He is here. My guards are some of the best warriors the Isonian Empire has. They should be able to stop Aman before this goes too far." It grew silent outside. Aman strode into the inner chamber of the pyramid and looked towards Queen Neferites as she stood at the other side of the chamber, with a wooden staff in her hand. "Well, well, my dear sister. I am afraid one of your guards gave up your hiding place before I slit his throat." "I have not been hiding, brother. I have been waiting for you." "So, you are ready to die and relinquish the throne to me?" "My meditations have revealed Thoran's fate, the kidnapping of the council members' families, and your plan for me," replied the queen. "Actually, I will need to alter my plan and just eliminate you now. My original strategy was to have you, Thoran, and the council members assassinated just before our next meeting. Obviously, I would have been delayed for that meeting. With the help of the Illume, adequate evidence of a coup from the Empire's partners in the East would be planted to ensure no foul play from me. In fact, both you and Thoran will be considered casualties of this conspiracy from the East." Hearing her brother's plans, the queen looked at her brother and shook her head. "You will have to pay for all your devious deeds, brother." "Nonsense, sister, I will lead this kingdom in the proper manner, and all Isonian citizens will bow down to their new king," yelled Aman as he pulled his sword and advanced towards the queen. With super-heightened senses and her past battle training, Queen Neferites was able to swiftly counter her brother's attack and land a powerful hit to his arm with the wooden staff she currently wielded. The hit made Aman drop the sword he was holding. With the weapon removed from Aman's hand, Queen Neferites smashed the wooden weapon against Aman's side with all her might. Even with all that had happened, the queen still hesitated in becoming the cause of her brother's death. "You should have struck me in the head, sister," admonished Aman as he quickly moved in close and began to systematically attack numerous locations on Queen Neferites' body with powerful hand and foot strikes. The sudden attack from her brother made the stunned queen drop her wooden staff and wince in intense pain as numerous nerve locations were struck throughout her body. The pain and blows from Aman made her drop to her knees. Seizing the moment, Aman quickly retrieved his sword and advanced towards the queen to execute a lethal strike to her neck. Although her body and mind ached greatly from the intense onslaught, Queen Neferites quickly quieted her mind and used the stored energy in her body to create a shield against the sword's downward swing towards her neck. The force from hitting the shield around the queen's body made Aman lose his grip. The sword bounced off the shield and flew across the chamber. Filled with intense emotion from the previous attacks to her body and Thoran's death at her brother's hands, Queen Neferites made a pushing movement with her hands. Intense energy came out of her hands and pushed Aman up off his feet and backwards towards the pyramid's wall on the other side of the chamber. Slamming against the wall, Aman dropped to the floor unconscious. Shortly after the fight with her brother finished, the queen heard more of her palace guards outside. Fearing for her queen's safety, Auderen had requested more guards go out to the pyramid project to ensure Queen Neferites was okay. Queen Neferites asked her guards to apprehend her brother and lock him up in the Isonian army's brig. Once back at the palace, she instructed her most trusted general to raid the Illume sanctuary and release the family members locked up, and to apprehend all Illume leadership for trial and sentencing.